Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. We're tearing into the stat sheets and game reports from B.A.L.L Week 4.
Yeah, definitely.
We're not here just to celebrate the winners, though. We're really trying to figure out the mechanisms of victory, and maybe the hidden costs of failure, too.
Hmm.
We've got a stack of game reports here, high-scoring efforts, some dominant defenses, and, yeah, a major strategic lesson about something really basic, just holding on to the ball.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to distill those critical insights because week 4, it feels like it's fundamentally shifted the conversation in this league.
How so?
Well, the storyline this time around, it wasn't really determined by who scored 100 points or anything like that. It was determined by 2 specific failures, I think.
Okay.
The devastating effects of turnover trouble, that's number 1. And number 2, the sheer kind of physical impossibility of the 5-man stand we saw.
Right. Royale.
Yeah. If you're aiming for the top spot in this league, you just have to value every single possession. And, you need a full roster to execute that plan effectively.
That sentiment brings us immediately to the marquee matchup of the week. The one everyone was kind of looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Undefeated Raptors 2.0 squaring off against the one-loss college squad. The expectation was, maybe, a tight, back-and-forth defensive battle.
That's what I thought going in.
But what we actually got was, well, a masterclass in applying pressure from the Raptors.
Totally.
The result tells a really profound and honestly kind of terrifying story about how defensive intensity can just completely neutralize offensive talent.
It really can.
So let's start right there. On the floor where College basically hit a defensive wall they just couldn't get past. So Raptors 2.0 didn't just squeak by College, they cruised. Finished 82-67.
Yeah, a comfortable margin in the end.
This performance pushed the Raptors to a perfect 4-0 record. Really confirms their status as the team to beat right now.
No question.
Meanwhile, College drops to 3-1. Now, here's the analytical puzzle, the thing that makes this game so interesting to break down. College's offense, purely on a percentage basis, it was statistically good enough to win most games.
Right. And I think we need to linger on that paradox for just a second.
Yeah.
Because it highlights exactly what makes Raptors 2.0 so dangerous.
Okay.
College shot a highly respectable 48.3% from the field. That's 28 of 58 attempts. Good shooting.
Very solid.
And they were decent from outside, too.
Yeah.
Hit 32% from 3, 8 of 25. In probably 90% of games in this league, shooting 48%. That guarantees you a victory, or at least a nail-biter down to the wire.
Absolutely. You take that any night.
Yet, they lost by 15 points. And the explanation is simple, it's devastating, and it's entirely defensive.
Which is?
College simply could not overcome their staggering 21 turnovers.
21. Wow. That's catastrophic, isn't it?
It is. It means, on average, College just handed possession back to the league leaders over 5 times per quarter. That's nearly a possession every single minute of game time.
When you put it like that.
Yeah, you look at the raw number, 21 possessions, it sounds bad. You have to really think about what those lost possessions become in the hands of a team like the Raptors.
Right. It's not just a missed shot.
Exactly. It's not just a lost scoring opportunity for College. It's basically a gift-wrapped, high-percentage transition opportunity for the Raptors.
Easy buckets.
Easy buckets. Even if the Raptors only convert, say, half of those turnovers into fast break points, which is probably conservative.
Probably, yeah.
You're looking at a minimum of, 21 to 25 easy points? Points that College's defense had absolutely no chance to set up against.
So that score differential, the 15 points.
It's completely accounted for right there in the turnover margin. The Raptors weren't necessarily better at running their half-court offense in this game. They were just exponentially better at preventing College from running any offense at all.
And that relentless pressure, it creates ripples, doesn't it? Like a secondary breakdown. The free throw disparity really stood out to me.
Oh, definitely. That's a huge consequence.
College only attempted 9 free throws the entire game. Made just 3. 3 for 9. That's 33.3%.
Yarrow.
You're shooting 48% from the field, which tells me you are attacking the basket with some success.
You're getting into the paint, yeah.
But you're just not getting rewarded with free throws. How does that happen?
Well, this failure to get to the line, it's like the silent killer in a game like this. When you turn the ball over 21 times, you never force the defense into those tough rotations where they have to foul to prevent an easy layup.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
Fouls are usually generated when the offense is organized, right?
Yeah.
When you're penetrating, challenging the defense inside. But if the ball is getting picked off at the perimeter or thrown out of bounds before the play even
You
develops,
forfeit the chance.
you completely forfeit the chance to generate those high-value free throws. The Raptors forced College to play the game on their terms, scrambling, out on the perimeter, maybe rushing things. And that 3 of 9 stat line, it's just a damning indictment of College's inability to settle down, use the clock, and force the issue. It amplified every other struggle they had, tenfold.
So, okay, College is busy turning the ball over. What was the Raptors' blueprint for success on the other side? How did they capitalize so effectively?
It was defined by, I'd say, lethal efficiency and just aggressive harvesting of those mistakes. They knew what College was giving them.
Go on.
The Raptors used blistering three-point shooting, for one, and a truly swarming defense. They racked up 12 steals. That's more than half of College's total turnovers right there, which directly fueled their offense.
12 steals. So they weren't just turnovers, they were live ball turnovers leading to breaks.
A significant chunk of them, yes. And their overall shooting was excellent, too. 30 of 64 overall. It's 46.9% from the field. And they were sharp from the arc, hitting 13 of 36. That's 36.1%. Solid numbers all around.
In the rebounding, I saw College actually won the total rebounding battle slightly, 32-31.
They did, technically. But that slight advantage was completely negated. Like, who cares if you grab one extra board? Why hustle for an offensive rebound when the opponent is busy scoring 15, maybe 20 easy points off steals at the other end?
Yeah, the math just doesn't work.
The math doesn't add up at all. The defensive pressure just wiped out any small edge College might have had on the glass.
Let's talk about the engines driving this Raptors machine then, specifically Joseph Berizzo. If you want to talk about efficiency and disruptiveness rolled into one player, Berizzo seems like the definition.
Oh, absolutely. Berizzo delivered an incredibly impactful 22 points, but it was how he scored those points that really matters.
Efficiently, I take it.
Surgical is the word I'd use. He shot 8 of 12 from the field. That translates to a phenomenal 66.7% clip.
Wow.
And crucially, he was just scorching from downtown. It's 6 of 9 from three-point range, 6 for 9.
That's unreal.
A player who can shoot 2/3 from the field and 2/3 from 3 in a high-stakes game. That's a nightmare for any defense. But that's only half the story with him in this game.
The defense, too?
Exactly. He was a defensive pest, logged 5 steals and 2 assists. So he wasn't just scoring efficiently, he was actively initiating the chaos on defense and then immediately capitalizing on it at the other end. A two-way menace.
And he clearly had the necessary support. You can't do that alone.
Yeah.
Brian Gonzalez provided the muscle, the hustle inside.
Yeah, Gonzalez was huge. Notched a significant double-double, 17 points and 10 rebounds. And get this, 4 of those rebounds were on the offensive glass.
Keeping possessions alive.
Keeping possessions alive, exactly. Even when the team wasn't scoring directly off a steal. Gonzalez also added 3 vital assists, showing he's not just a finisher in the post, but he could facilitate too.
And Pat Hidalgo seemed to play his role perfectly as well.
The efficient specialist, right. Hidalgo tallied 12 points, and he did it purely on 3 of 4 shooting from three-point range. Didn't force anything.
He's just waited for his spots.
Waited for spots, knocked them down. When you have shooters like that, guys who don't need many chances to convert, it stretches the defense incredibly thin. It forces them to overcommit, which, guess what?
Leads to more openings for steals and turnovers?
Bingo. It's a cycle. Gantro Williams also chipped in a really well-rounded game. 10 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Every starter delivered.
Even the bench maintained the pressure.
Yeah, the bench contributed to that overall pressure profile. Alvin Feliciano dished out 5 assists, kept the ball moving. Jordan Tapal added 2 steals. They maintained that relentless momentum for the full 40 minutes. There was no let-up.
We do have to acknowledge College's strong individual efforts, though. It feels like they went unrewarded because of the overwhelming team strategy of the Raptors.
Absolutely. You have to feel for some of those guys. Armin Brown poured in 21 points, shot a very efficient 4 of 8 from 3. He played well.
And Chase Carstensen. Wow. A game-high 13 rebounds, 7 of them offensive, plus 12 points he was battling.
He was fighting like crazy on the glass. Robert Sarmiento chipped in 12 points and 4 assists, too. These players were physically battling for every possession. You could see it, especially Carstensen on the offensive boards.
So what makes the defeat so poignant, then?
It's that College was actually winning some of those individual battles, right? On the boards, shooting percentages looked okay in isolation. But they were just losing the war on strategy, the war on ball control.
Like winning battles, but losing the war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
College's efforts were kind of the basketball equivalent of, I don't know, bailing out a sinking ship with a teaspoon while the captain keeps drilling new holes in the hull with turnovers.
That's a vivid image.
The Raptors 2.0's identity is just cemented by this win. Overwhelming defensive pressure, easy transition points fueled by that pressure, and high efficiency from their star players who seem to thrive in that chaos.
So the takeaway for College.
If College cannot find a way to counter that aggressive defensive blueprint, specifically how to protect the ball under duress, they're going to continue to struggle against the top teams in this league. It's priority number one for them now.
Okay, so if the College game was all about systemic defensive failure leading to turnovers, our next game, Mamba securing that tight 66-61 win over Jazz, this was a really fascinating case study in competing offensive philosophies, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A totally different kind of game.
Mamba moves to 3-1, now tied with College in the standings, while Jazz drops to a tough 1-3 start.
Yeah, Jazz needs to turn things around soon.
This felt like a classic high-volume three-point contest on the surface. But the hidden difference, like you often find in these close games, was maybe more in the collective effort, not just the individual stars.
It was a philosophical clash, definitely. Mamba, even though they won, was actually slightly less efficient overall. They shot 39.3% from the field, 24 of 61. Not great, but not terrible.
Okay.
But here's the critical data point, I think. They won by out-hustling and out-passing Jazz in key areas.
Like what?
Well, Mamba dominated the rebounding battle on the offensive end. 11 offensive boards versus Jazz's 8. That's extra possessions.
Crucial in a close game.
Crucial. They also moved the ball far better. Look at the assists. 21 assists for Mamba versus only 14 for Jazz. That's a big difference in ball movement.
7 more assists.
And maybe most critically, especially after just talking about College, Mamba displayed exceptional ball control. They committed only 9 turnovers the entire game.
Only 9? Across 40 minutes of a tight game? That's phenomenal.
It really is. When you compare that to College's 21, you see a masterclass in valuing the possession from Mamba. They basically gave Jazz 0 easy opportunities off turnovers.
And that stability, that ball security, it allowed them to survive what was, frankly, a really interesting, maybe high-risk performance from their leading scorer.
Exactly. And you saw that team stability embodied by Pong Barcarse, who was running the point. He flirted with a triple-double, didn't quite get there, but had 6 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals.
Solid all-around game.
That kind of balanced contribution, it shows a commitment to team success over just individual scoring glory. He kept things steady.
Which seems necessary when your main offensive engine, Nikko Arias, is relying on sheer volume to power the attack.
Arias' night was something else.
He paced Mamba with a game-high 26 points, but look at the volume required. 9 of 27 from the field overall. That's tough shooting.
Very tough, less than 34%.
Including launching an incredible 23 three-pointers, he hit 7 of them, which is decent, but 23 attempts.
Wow.
23 threes is a lot.
Arias did fill the stat sheet elsewhere, though. 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He's always active, clearly involved. But 27 shots to get 26 points? That feels like a high-wire act.
It is absolutely a strategic risk. And it raises a huge question mark, I think, about Mamba's long-term sustainability, if that's the model.
Right.
If Arias hits 7 of 23 attempts from deep, like he did here, Mamba can win a close game. But what happens on a night when he hits, say, 4 of 23 or 3 of 23? That volume becomes a real liability fast.
So how did they win this game with that inefficiency at the top? They won because they had the deep bench support that allowed Arias to keep firing away. The bench provided critical relief in production.
Let's see. Miles Costales added 4 points, 5 rebounds. Michael Tran chipped in 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Bonn Terso had 3 points, 4 assists, 2 steals.
Exactly. That bench strength kept Jazz off balance. It provided necessary scoring relief and, just as importantly, complementary playmaking, like Tran's 3 assists and Terso's 4 assists. That helps mitigate Arias' lower shooting percentage on the night. It wasn't just the Arias show.
Okay, now let's contrast that high-volume approach from Arias with the performance of Jazz's star, Noah Hacbang. You called him the efficiency king earlier.
And the stats back it up. Hacbang was significantly more surgical, more efficient than Arias in this game. He posted 28 points, leading all scorers, but did it on just 10 of 19 shooting from the field.
10 of 19. That's nearly 53% shooting. Much better.
Much better. Including a phenomenal 6 of 13 from 3. Still high volume from deep, but much more efficient. When you look at his output versus his input, the points per shot, Hacbang gave Jazz maximum return on their possessions involving him.
And he did more than just score.
Right. He also provided 8 rebounds and 4 steals. A really strong two-way game from him. If we just isolated Hacbang's performance against Arias's, you'd think Jazz should have won this game comfortably.
And Hacbang wasn't totally alone either. Mark Mendoza contributed a serious double-double down low, 16 points, 11 rebounds, plus 3 blocks. That's a strong inside presence.
Huge gain for Mendoza. Dominated his matchup.
Even Moldamero led the team in assists with 7 alongside 8 points. Jazz actually shot slightly better overall as a team, 40.7% from the field, and they committed a respectable 10 turnovers, only 1 more than Mamba.
Yeah, on paper, Jazz looks pretty good here. They had the talent, they had the better individual efficiency from their star.
Yeah.
So why the narrow loss? What was missing?
What do you think?
It comes down to cohesion and distribution, I believe. Mamba had those 21 assists, remember? That suggests superior ball movement, finding the open man, finding the best shot, even if that shot ended up being taken by Arias quite often.
Okay.
Jazz only had 14 assists. That suggests their scoring was more concentrated, maybe more isolation-driven, often initiated by the primary scorers like Hacbang and Mendoza themselves, rather than through team play finding them.
So less flow.
Less flow, maybe less trust in the supporting cast, or maybe the supporting cast just wasn't hitting shots. While Hacbang's individual brilliance absolutely kept them in the game, Mamba's willingness to distribute the load across the entire roster, reflected in those crucial 7 extra assists, probably ensured they found slightly better looks overall and kept the Jazz defense rotating constantly, maybe wearing them down a bit.
Interesting. So Mamba's victory was more a triumph of structure and maybe deeper team chemistry.
I think so. It proves that even a risk-heavy volume shooting approach, like Arias took, can be sustained and lead to wins if the rest of the team commits to minimizing mistakes like only 9 turnovers and maximizing ball distribution.
It definitely makes you ask if Jazz relies a bit too heavily on their 2 stars, Hacbang and Mendoza. They had the individual numbers, but Mamba had the better collective effort, it sounds like.
That's often the lesson, isn't it?
Yeah.
It separates the good teams from the potentially great ones, the playoff contenders from the rest of the field. Jazz needs to find that extra gear of team play.
All right, let's pivot now to a game that was defined almost entirely by roster constraints and just sheer individual will. The Grizzlies finally broke through.
Yeah, good for them. They needed that one.
After 3 really tough losses to start the season, they defeated Royale 73-61, secured their first win, improved their record to 1-3.
Finally off the mark.
For Royale, however, the search for that first victory continues. They dropped to 0-4. But their story in this game is one of, heartbreaking, exhausted effort. You have to respect it.
Oh, completely. This game provides probably the most stark lesson of Week 4 regarding team management, player availability, and just, well, stamina.
What's the context here that makes it so fascinating?
The context is this. Royale literally only had 5 players dressed for the entire game. 5 guys. That's it.
5 players for the whole 40 minutes, no subs at all.
No subs at all. The official game report explicitly notes that the game was actually tight, really competitive through the first 3 quarters. But eventually Royale just, quote, got tired and came up short, end quote.
Wow.
We really need to analyze that tactical breakdown that's almost inevitable when you're forced into a 5-man stand like that.
It's hard to even imagine the physical and mental toll. Playing 40 continuous minutes of high-intensity B.A.L.L. league basketball, knowing you have 0 backups, 0 chance for a quick breather.
It's brutal.
That's like trying to run a marathon while carrying one of your teammates on your back. It seems physically impossible to maintain the required pace, the focus, the defensive intensity for that long.
It basically is impossible at this level. And we saw that staggering effort reflected in Royale's highly concentrated offense. Evan Bolassi was monumental, just incredible.
What were his numbers?
He carried a massive load, scoring 31 points, just willed them offensively.
So 31 from him alone.
Yeah. J.C. Delasancos added 15 points. Kevin Schroom chipped in 11 points. Danny Martinez had 4 points. Those 4 players accounted for almost every single point Royale scored.
That reliance on individual heroics, even when it's that impressive, it just proved unsustainable against a team that could rotate players.
Exactly. Especially in that 4th quarter. Let's try to analyze the tactical failure of the 5-man stand there. If they were close after 3 quarters, where specifically do the Grizzlies likely exploit that fatigue?
Okay, good question.
Well, fatigue manifests in specific measurable ways on the court, right? First, defensive rotations slow down dramatically. Your feet get heavy.
Late closeouts.
Late closeouts on 3-point shooters, exactly. And you struggle to provide help defense in the paint. Your reaction time just isn't there. This leads directly to higher percentage shots for the rested Grizzlies players cycling in.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, fouling becomes almost a necessity, not just a mistake. When your man blows past you because your legs are absolutely gone, what's your only option?
Reach in, grab him.
You're forced to desperately foul. This leads to free throws for the Grizzlies, a prime example of them scoring points while the clock is stopped, allowing them to rest slightly, while Royale's 5 guys just stand there, catching their breath, getting more tired.
Oof, that's a tough cycle.
And third, the mental effort required to protect the ball diminishes significantly under that kind of physical duress. While we don't have the final turnover count for Royale, decision-making just suffers. You make errant passes, maybe travel calls increase, mental mistakes creep in, giving the Grizzlies more easy, rested possessions.
So the Grizzlies, in stark contrast, they could utilize their entire roster. They ran a balanced attack, a relentless defense, and basically just waited for Royale to break.
Pretty much. It was the winning blueprint against a shorthanded team. They controlled the boards, they shared the scoring, and they focused on simply outlasting their opponent.
It sounds like a smart, patient strategy from the Grizzlies. They knew the advantage they possessed.
Exactly. Giancarlo Rex led their scoring with 23 points, providing that primary offensive punch. But the real success came from the depth of contributions behind him.
Who else stepped up?
Jerome Tittle added a solid 15 points. Derek Chinora chipped in 11 points. Reliable secondary scoring there.
But the true difference maker, you're saying, wasn't even just those 3 guys. It was the rotational support.
Absolutely. That's what kept the intensity high, while Royale's 5 players inevitably wilted. The Grizzlies had 4 other players contribute 5 or 6 points each.
Let's see. Joaquin Aragon, Mac DeJoya, and Aaron Mansell all scored 6 points apiece. Stephon Rex added 5 points.
Right. That means 7 different Grizzlies players contributed meaningful, fresh scoring throughout the game. That allowed them to maintain peak intensity, or close to it, for all 40 minutes, while Royale was running on fumes.
This performance, getting that first win, it must deliver a huge psychological boost for the Grizzlies after starting 0-3.
Huge. They finally found a strategy that works for them. Prioritizing hustle, controlling the boards, and crucially, utilizing their entire roster depth. They successfully exploited a fundamental weakness in their opponent, the lack of bench depth, and turned it into their first victory.
So what's the implication for the Grizzlies going forward?
The implication for the Grizzlies is that they now have a tangible, repeatable blueprint for winning, especially against teams that might not fully utilize their depth, or perhaps teams that are weaker on the interior where the Grizzlies can use their bodies. They know what works.
And the implication for Royale?
It's far more urgent, unfortunately. It proves that individual brilliance and incredible heart, like Bolise showed, are just not enough in a league this competitive, a league that demands continuous, rotating pressure. They desperately need bodies on the bench, period.
It's a harsh truth of team sports, isn't it? But necessary knowledge. It just validates the importance of having, 8, 9, 10 players ready to step in and contribute when the game clock demands it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so we've broken down the turnover trouble that plagued college, the whole sustainability debate between Mamba's volume and Jazz's efficiency, and the painful stamina failure of Royale against the depth of the Grizzlies. These Week 4 results have really recalibrated the standings and set up some absolutely fascinating strategic follow-up contests for Week 5, haven't they?
They really have. If we connect all these threads we've been discussing to the bigger picture, Week 5 isn't just about who scores more points. It's about answering the strategic questions that were posed this week.
How so?
Well, we have 3 high-stakes matchups scheduled for November 7th that seem to directly challenge the lessons learned right here in Week 4. It's like an immediate test.
Okay, let's start with the immediate fallout from that college turnover fiasco. They've got Mamba next, right? Both teams are 3-1.
Exactly. College versus Mamba. This is a massive game for that second spot in the standings, right behind the undefeated Raptors.
So what's the key dynamic there?
College needs to prove, right away, that the 21 turnover game against the Raptors was an anomaly, that it wasn't a systemic failure under pressure. Because guess what? Mamba just showed us they don't turn the ball over.
Only 9 turnovers for Mamba.
Right. College is facing a Mamba team that just displayed superior team stats, high assists, very low turnovers, even while relying on a high-volume shooter like Nikko Arias. So this matchup feels like a pure battle of strategic control.
Can college handle Mamba's structure?
If college can protect the ball, maybe get back to their efficient shooting ways, and force Mamba's offense, especially Arias, into taking high-volume contested shots in the half-court set, then college probably wins based on their potentially superior overall efficiency.
That's the flip side.
However, if college struggles with ball security again, even if it's not 21 turnovers, maybe it's 15 or 16, Mamba will capitalize on those gifted possessions. They'll do it through their team chemistry, their distribution, finding areas or others for easier looks.
Ha.
College's mental state, their confidence coming into this game, feels almost as important as their physical performance. Can they shake off that Raptors loss?
That's a great point. Okay, next up, we have the league leaders, Raptors 2.0, taking on the struggling Royale squad. This matchup, it feels almost cruel on paper, given Royale's personnel constraints we just discussed.
It does feel like a mismatch, yeah. The undefeated Raptors, fresh off that defensive masterpiece against College, taking on the winless Royale, who might still only have 5 players.
So what's the narrative here? Strategic maximization versus physical survival.
That's a good way to put it. Given Royale's dire fatigue issue, assuming they still only have 5 players, their challenge is almost insurmountable against this particular opponent.
Why, especially the Raptors?
Because the Raptors are absolute masters at forcing turnovers and accelerating the tempo. That's the last thing a 5-man team wants to face.
So what can Royale possibly do?
Royale somehow needs to slow the game down to a crawl, maximize every second of the shot clock, maybe try to limit possessions overall, and then just rely on Bulles's heroism again, hope he has another huge game, and maybe hope the Raptors have an off-shooting night.
It's a long shot.
It's a very long shot, because the longer they play those same 5 guys, the faster they will fatigue against the Raptors' relentless rotation and pressure. Royale absolutely must find some bench depth before this game, or this won't just be a loss. It could be a massive blowout that further destabilizes the team's confidence going forward.
And for the Raptors.
The Raptors will likely treat this as a chance to maybe experiment a little, but mostly just perfect their defensive pressure system. Keep the machine humming.
All right, and finally, we have Jazz versus Grizzlies. 2 teams desperately fighting to climb out of the bottom half of the standings, both sitting at 1-3 records.
Yeah, this is a really pivotal strategic contest for both squads. Jazz, despite those phenomenal individual efforts we talked about from Hacbang and Mendoza, finds themselves at 1-3. Why? Probably because they lack that overall team cohesion and distribution we identified.
They need to figure out how to translate star talent into team wins.
Exactly. How do you leverage that talent better? And they face the Grizzlies, who just found their winning blueprint, didn't they? Based on balance, defense, hustle, and utilizing their entire roster depth against Royale.
So it's concentrated star power versus team hustle and depth.
That's the matchup in a nutshell. Can Hacbang and Mendoza carry the offensive load efficiently enough for 40 minutes to overcome a potentially deeper, more balanced Grizzly attack? Or will the Grizzlies' newly found winning formula deliver them a second straight victory by simply wearing Jazz down, controlling the boards, and getting contributions from more players?
What's the key metric to watch there?
I'd watch rebounding again, and maybe assist numbers. The team that controls the boards and maintains composure, moves the ball, is likely the one to emerge with a crucial second win and build some momentum.
It's definitely clear that Week 4 wasn't just about wins and losses on the scoreboard. It was about exposing some systemic flaws, wasn't it? Whether related to turnovers, shot selection philosophy, or just fundamental roster depth.
Absolutely. Every single team, winner or loser from Week 4, goes into Week 5 with a clear lesson they need to immediately address or reinforce. The adjustments made or not made will tell us a lot.
So wrapping up our deep dive into B.A.L.L. Week 4, the overriding lesson, it feels pretty unmistakable, right? Winning consistently in this league requires more than just hitting a high percentage of your shots.
Yeah, efficiency alone isn't enough.
Team strategy, having adequate roster depth, and just meticulous ball security. Those things seem to consistently outweigh individual scoring efficiency, especially in tough matchups. The Raptors 2.0's dominant win against College really demonstrated that perfectly. You can shoot 48% from the field, which is great, and still lose by 15 points if you don't value every single possession and allow yourself to get overwhelmed by relentless defensive pressure.
Couldn't agree more. And that lesson about the importance of the collective over the individual, it's amplified in a different way by the sheer willpower we saw in that Grizzlies versus Royale game.
How so?
Well, it raises what I think is the most important, maybe the most provocative question for every single organization in this league moving forward.
Okay, what is it?
If a team like Royale, relying on basically sheer individual will, heart, and Evan Bulles's incredible 31-point effort, if they can stay competitive and close for 3 full quarters against a full-strength, rotating opponent with only 5 players, what are the true limits of individual talent and commitment in basketball?
That's a deep question.
And then you have to ask, if Royale could field a complete, healthy, say, 10-man roster, given the tenacity and heart those 5 guys demonstrated under impossible circumstances, how profoundly would that shift the competitive landscape of the B.A.L.L. League? We saw the limits of the human body reached this week with that five-man lineup, and it just makes you wonder what that same human spirit, that same fight, could accomplish with proper strategic backing and, a few guys on the bench.
Something for every team and maybe every player to think about. That's a great place to leave it.